Why recording in a home studio is just like hockey, or insert any other sport here. Hi, my name is Pete Johns, and in this week's Studio Live Today podcast, we're asking the question that I know has been on the edge of your mind for years, if not decades, and that is, how can we compare home recording in the home studio with your favourite sport? Well, I'm going to give you 10 reasons why I think that recording is just like playing sport. And in my case, it's hockey, because I love hockey. I have two passions in life outside of my family and friends, and that is hockey and music. And why not combine the two? Is it an excuse for me to talk about hockey and music at the same time? Yes, but I hope that we can also have an interesting conversation. If it's your first time here, my name is Pete Johns. Studio Live Today is your one-stop shop to learn how to create, record and release your best music using GarageBand, Logic Pro and a bunch of other tools. You can head to studiolivetoday.com to find out how to get involved. And if you're listening on the audio version, we love you just as much. You're missing out on my awesome Vegas Golden Knights hat and my New York Rangers jersey. So just picture that as you listen to the audio, because I'm a big New York Rangers fan, have been for a very long time, and they just swept their way through. This is going to age really poorly if they get knocked down in the next round, but they just swept the Washington Capitals in the first round of the NHL playoffs. Don't worry if you're not an ice hockey fan and that means nothing to you. We're still going to talk about music, but I just thought this would be a fun way to approach it this time around. And I also like the Vegas Golden Knights, because why not have a team on the other coast to watch? And they're doing not quite as well. They're down 3-2 in their first round against Dallas, because I know that was what everyone was wondering. Let's dive in and talk about number one, the number one reason why hockey is like recording. It's because practice makes progress. It's because you're not going to be good immediately. The first time you pick up a hockey stick or a football boot or a curling wand, no, that's not what you call it, you're not going to be amazing at anything. You're not going to be amazing at recording until you have learnt how to hook up your gear, learned how to set your settings, learned how to use your microphone, learned how to mix and master. It takes a while. But the good news is that practice makes progress, just like playing sport. Very few people start the first time that they play sport, they're great, and then they get worse and worse over time. No, practice makes progress. So the more that you practice, the more that you learn, the more that you absorb, the better you get. And I say this every time I say this, but it won't happen overnight, but it will happen. It's just like our friend Rachel Hunter in those old Pantene ads for my Australian friends. So yeah, practicing your sport, practicing your craft, and it doesn't really matter what it is, does it? The practice makes progress. Don't get fooled by the practice makes perfect, folks. Perfection is a myth. It's non-existent. It doesn't exist. And aiming for perfection is only going to make you feel bad when you're not perfect, because po body's nerfect, are we? Love to see how the YouTube subscription, no, the subtitles get that one. Po body's nerfect. I'll be looking at that one when I watch this one back. Number two, sometimes you need to ignore the crowd and play your own game. Yeah, I know, we're getting a little bit metaphorical here, but it's true that as a sports person, you have to block out the crowd sometimes, because they're not always going to support you. Sometimes they'll support you when the going gets good, and then the going gets tough and they turn on you. Have you ever been to a sporting game where that happens, where the home fans turn on the home team and you're like, what are you doing this for? That's not going to encourage and inspire them. Yeah, the same thing happens in music, where people that you think are there to help you and to guide you and to mentor you and to develop you and to make sure that you can make your best music actually got themselves some ulterior motives. So quite often you need to block out that external sound. Now, does that mean you shouldn't listen to any feedback or any constructive criticism? No, of course not. You need to actually be told sometimes, hey, your vocals recorded too loud. Hey, you're over-compressing and you're distorting and oversaturating that vocal. We need to learn from other folk, which is something we'll talk about in a little while. But like in sport, if people are saying, hey, you suck, that's not helping. That's not helping you. That's not helping anybody. So just be careful about listening to the crowd, because sometimes the crowd aren't always the wisest. They don't always have all the answers, at least in my personal experience. We'll get into number three in just a moment. But if you are watching this video version and you like it, feel free to hit the thumbs up button down below. If you're listening on the podcast version, please feel free to leave a rating or review. And don't forget, you can head to studiolivetoday.com to catch up on everything we do around here. We have a lot of fun. Live shows, Studio Live Today tutorials, the works. Number 3, you learn from the experience of others. So contrary to what I said about ignoring the crowd, you do need to pay attention to what experienced folks are doing, because you are going to learn a lot. I believe in mentors, and I have been mentored by many people, and I hope that I've mentored many people in my time, whether it's in my previous life in the corporate world, or whether it's in my music life, or whether it's in my family life or my friendship life. I'm hoping that I'm a positive influence on folks, and I know that there are many people who have been a positive influence on me. So learning from the experience of others doesn't mean just going, they did this, so I'm going to do exactly that. No, they're the best them and you're the best you. And it's not really going to work for you to just completely copy someone else. However, there's people that have been in the trenches that have been doing this for a long time. And they're going to have some really good information. They're going to have good advice for you, as long as it's coming from the right place. And again, the reason I put these two together for number 2 and 3 is you got to know the difference. The difference between a stranger on the internet saying, you suck, you're terrible, you couldn't write a song if your life depended on it, and you should give up now, versus someone in a forum that you've listened to their music and you're like, wow, this person creates great music. And then they give you some feedback and say, hey, you're doing really well with this sort of stuff. Here's a couple of pointers that might help take you to the next level. That's what you need to listen to. Listen to the tone. Listen to the intent, because the intent is important. It's more important than the actual information that's being conveyed. Because if their intent is to help, is to grow, is to nurture, is to encourage, that's good. That's a person you should be listening to. If their intent is to pull you down, bring you down, make you feel bad, that is someone you should not be listening to, almost without exception. Sure, there's the old, speaking of the sports methodology, when we flip this over to hockey, yeah, there's the coach that's going to think, oh, if I just treat them mean and yell at them, then that's going to inspire them. And suddenly they're going to want to be good to get their revenge on me. I don't know that the same thing happens in the audio world, but maybe there's some people that do. Maybe there's some people that think a little bit of tough love, and be careful of people that say, that's how I got it. I was raised that way and there's nothing wrong with me, except that you haven't learned that that's not the best way to treat other human beings. That's what I say anyway. So yeah, you can learn from the experience of others. Just make sure it's the right people. Number 4 is the best players aren't always the best coaches. This is something that I've talked about a bunch of times before, and every time I say this, I pick on Paul Wayne Gretzky. I know Paul Wayne Gretzky, potentially the best hockey player that's ever lived. But the thing that happened with Wayne is that when he went into coaching, he wasn't a great coach. Why? Well, you could speculate on that, but he was so good that I'm just not sure that he knew how to coach players who were not as skilled as him. And flippity floppity, some of the best coaches were not fabulous players. They obviously need to know the game, and it's a bit like coaching music. I need to know the fundamentals of music, but I'm not the best musician. If I'm the best musician, why am I coaching? Why am I training? Why am I teaching others? I should be out there creating more music. So I think just like in life as well, just like in the corporate world, I worked with a lot of people who always thought that it was a failure of them whenever someone that they mentored, they coached, they developed, moved into a higher position than them. But isn't that what the goal is? Isn't the goal to get the best out of other people? Or are we so stuck in this competitive thing that says we have to be the best? And it's the same with music, same with sport. But yeah, why would you do that? Why wouldn't you want someone to get better than you if they have more talent or more determination or better songwriting abilities or just are better at music? Why would you want to hold someone back? It doesn't make any sense to me, apart from pride, ego, arrogance, and mild sociopathy in the case of some folks, where it's just not ever going to, they're not ever going to see that way. But yeah, best players are not always the best coaches, and vice versa. So be careful taking advice. Even though I see everything contradicts everything else. It's because everything's a grey area, folks. You know that. I know that. The answer to every question in life is it depends, and sometimes this, sometimes that. That's honestly where it ends up. Number 5, This one's interesting. Skate where the puck is going. It's an old hockey phrase, or it could be like run to where the ball's being passed to, not where it is right now. But yeah, skate to where the puck is going means to look at what's going to happen in the future and then go there as opposed to staying here. How does that relate to music? Think about digital. Think about analog to digital. The people that are still stuck on analog or spent a long time going from analog to digital, they're probably struggling a lot more than if they realized that digital recording was coming and learned about it. Does it mean you have to embrace every new technology? No. Do you need to become a crypto bro and now an AI bro or broette? No, you don't have to follow every trend. Should you be diving into Suno and Udio and creating AI-generated music now instead of writing your own stuff? Almost definitely not. But you should be aware of it. You know what? Even if you don't like it, know your enemy, folks. Yeah, Green Day said it. Rage Against the Machine said it too. Two great songs, by the way. But yeah, understanding things and knowing what's out there is, I think, really important. And it's the same with this. Go look for the change, look for what's going to happen in the future, and position yourself so that you're at least aware and making a conscious decision. If you don't want to do it, that's totally fine. But don't not do things out of ignorance. Do it out of choice. I think there's a big difference there of just going, I'm burying my head in the sands and I'm being ignorant to everything. I don't want to embrace any new technology, therefore I'm going to ignore it, versus, I've heard about this AI music stuff. I watched a video on it. Doesn't look that great. I think I'll give it a miss. Educated. That's what it is. Educated on the topic. Not Facebook education, by the way. Real education. Poor Facebook. Alrighty, let's continue on here. Number 6, is it? You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Oh boy, Pete, what a cliche. This is 101 in cliche writing. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Yeah, I get it. It's a little cringe, as the kids would say. You might seem a bit mid, as the kids probably don't say either of those things, but I do now because I'm not skating where the puck's going. I'm about 10 years behind. And my kids would be like, 10 years? Try 20, old man. Yeah. So you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. This is so important because in the music that you create, if you're not trying new things, if you're not creating, recording and releasing music, if you're not finishing songs, you're never going to know, are you? There's a few reasons why you need to just keep taking shots. Some of the best songs that I've put out there, well, the most popular songs that I've written, I didn't really like. I didn't think were going to be a good song. I kind of did as a bit of an experiment. I've got a song called Lucky, which is very much not my style. Another one called Imagination, very much not my style. But I just tried something new. I used loops, I used synths, I used beats. And they came out really good. I wrote another song called Anxiety that I used just 4 tracks and used nothing but my acoustic guitar and my voice. And I actually sat on a cardboard box and tapped that while I was singing backing tracks and recorded them both onto the same track. All the things that I warn against that people shouldn't do on a regular basis. But you know what? It worked and it created a good song. And isn't that the main thing at the end of the day? So try new things. If you only have ever recorded songs where you start the recording process with a guitar, grab a keyboard, grab an Apple Loop in GarageBand, grab a beat, download a beat from like a website that's Creative Commons free use, and throw that behind a track and see what happens. You'll be amazed at how cool it can be because it gets the creative juices flowing because you're doing something different. There's a different part of your brain when you're doing something you haven't done before. It's got that uniqueness, that newness to it that can actually result in a much better outcome. So try it. You won't know until you give it a go. So keep taking shots. And the beautiful part is that we live in a digital world where you can create. You don't have to pay for studio time. You can open up GarageBand, and most of us have got plenty of storage space too on our devices. Just open up a project and start. Just go. Just create. See what happens. All right. That was 6. The numbers are all out of order here. This is going to be fun to do the timestamps on. I think this is number 7, actually. It's okay to play for fun. Can I get a hallelujah here? I talked about this in a recent podcast episode, that defining what success looks like for you is one of the most fundamentally important things because it's going to be different for everyone. For some people in sport, some people in hockey, if they're like me, where they're very much a sideline hockey fan, I can't even skate. I'm terrible on the ice. But I love hockey because I love supporting it and I love following it and I love watching it. And it's the same with music. You may be a music consumer. You may not. You may move away from the creating of music. That's okay. Are you having fun? Are you enjoying it? If the answer is yes, keep doing it. You may want to be the next insert name of rock star that you think of here. I always go Dave Grohl because Foo Fighters are awesome. You may want to be the next Dave Grohl. If so, more power to you. You're going to have to work really hard. You're going to have to be super talented and you're going to have to basically live and breathe music and find a way to make money at the same time. So it's not going to say it's impossible, but it's not going to be an easy thing. And guess what? It is okay to be a weekend warrior. It is okay to be someone who loves creating music for their own personal self-satisfaction. 100% okay. So you don't have to. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You don't have to want to be an absolute pro, a top-level expert, and someone who's making a quadrillion dollars with your music. You may just want to write a song. You may want to write an EP, maybe releasing an album. Maybe you've always wanted to press your own music to vinyl. That's a great goal to have. Are you going to make tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars selling it to people? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe you try for it and maybe you don't. So defining what you think success is and what success looks like for you early on is important. I say this to my kids. I don't care if they don't get straight A's at school because that's not going to be for everyone. My definition of success is you pass, right? In school, because school should be more about the process of learning how to learn. And sort of if you are busting a gut to get 100% grades, knowing that you're not going to be a doctor or a lawyer or a dentist or anything that requires a really good grade, why don't you spend less time doing that and more time pursuing something outside of that you're passionate about? One of my daughters loves choir. She loves singing in the choir, so that's her passion. If she gets B's and becomes an amazing singer in a choir, I'm happy. Other daughter loves craft, crocheting. If she gets C's but is an amazing artist that's creating all these amazing works, which at age 12 she already is, then I'm happy. And she should be too. And you should be too. Anyway, am I justifying mediocrity? I don't think so. I just think that so often we think that everyone needs to be here. Everyone needs to be perfect and at this top high level in everything in life. And everyone's different. It just doesn't fit everyone. It hits different. Everyone's built different and it's going to be different. I'm never going to be a famous hockey player and that's okay. It's okay. Number 8, you don't need the best gear at the start. I thought about this one. I'm like, yeah, am I pigeon? Am I like prying in something here? But no, I think it's relevant because when you start any sport, you're not like I used to play cricket as a kid. I didn't have the $500 cricket bat. I had the $50 cricket bat. And then when I played for a bit longer, I had the $100 cricket bat and kind of gave up after that because I wasn't that good. But yeah, you move up, don't you? It's a bit like playing with instruments and with microphones and audio recording gear. You don't need the best stuff straight away. In fact, you won't see the difference or feel the difference or hear the difference, depending what we're talking about, if you have gear that is too good too soon. And you also won't then appreciate the difference between that entry-level stuff and the really good stuff. Or you may get something so complicated and so good, quote unquote good, that it's not actually designed for you. Like the sort of skates that folks use to play hockey in, if you're starting out as a beginner learning to skate, you don't want to be wearing those. They're razor sharp, they're really difficult to skate on unless you're a really good skater. You want the big chungus ones with the blades that just sort of sit up on the like. Yeah, am I talking out of my bum here? A little bit, because I'm not a good skater, so I don't actually know that. But I'm assuming that. And I'm assuming that the sticks that they use at the top end NHL level, you don't want to use those. They're really flexible and really cool, but if they snap one, they just go to the bench and grab a new fresh $500 stick. If you snap one, yeah, you've got to go buy another one. So you probably want to go with something a little more rigid. Anyway, it's the same with your music. You don't need the best gear from day dot. Start with what you got right now. If you've got a phone, if you've got an iPhone or an Android phone in your pocket, you got software on there you can record. If you've got a standalone recorder, if you've got a PC, you got a Mac, you got something you can record on. And then as you go, you can build up And there's nothing quite like that of just like building up over time. It's like when you build a PC. I don't know if anyone's been a PC builder, but you build your PC and then you're like, oh, I could get that new audio card, and then you swap it out your old stereo for a 5.1 audio card, and then you're like, oh, look at that new 3D graphics card, and then you swap your graphics card out. Like, oh, I reckon I could put another 32 gig of RAM in here, and you do that. It's the same with anything, isn't it? Like if you're into it, the tendency is, oh, wow, I got to get the best and the greatest and dive straight into this. Or just start slowly and build up over time, because you can do that too. You don't need the best gear right from the start, do you? All right. Number 9. There's always next year. Have you heard that one? Yeah, in sport, in hockey, for the Vegas Golden Knights, that might be something they're saying in one game's time, because they're right on the edge there. For the New York Rangers, hopefully it is this year. But if it's not, there's always next year. You can always rebuild and you can always try something. So the reason I say that, and it's related to music, is it's not one and done. As I say, I also relate this to like playing video games, that you've got unlimited retries. You know how, when you had a video game back in the 80s and you'd go to one of those lock-ins where they'd turn off the coin thing and you could just go and get unlimited credits? That's what recording in 2024 is like. If you record one song and put it out there and it's a failure, guess what? You failed. You're a fail. No, you're not. You're not a failure. You just had one song that didn't work for you. Do another one. Try again. It's why I worry about folks that get so attached to the one song or the one album they've released, or they get so worried, so worked up that someone might steal their music, that they're spending all their time racing around getting copyrights and protecting. Look, if you can make a song that's so good that someone wants to steal it, you're probably a freaking good songwriter. Very few people, apart from all those one-hit wonders out there, but very few people. By the way, most of them didn't write their own songs. Most of those were written by amazing songwriters who have written 21 hit wonders, right? But my point being, don't stress so much about that one thing. Micro failure is totally fine. Micro failure doesn't mean macro failure. Failing with one song or one thing doesn't mean that you're a failure. It doesn't mean that you've failed entirely. It means maybe you need to try again next year if you're a sporting team. Or if you're a creator, try again tomorrow, next week, next month. Take a break and then come back to it and do it again. But maybe try something different. Maybe learn from others. Maybe listen to the rest of the stuff I did and practice your recording techniques. Talk to someone. Ignore the crowds, but talk to someone who's more knowledgeable. Yeah, skate where the puck's going. Take more shots. Oh, it's the cliche show, isn't it? Yeah. Before we get to number 10, thanks again for being here. If you are watching the video version, thumbs up, always appreciated. If you'd like to support me, and why wouldn't you? Because you're a great person. I can sense it. I'm feeling that aura. You can support me by leaving a comment. You can join the Patreon. You can join the channel membership over on YouTube. You can support me by following me on Facebook. You can donate to the channel. There's a heap of ways. If you're watching the video, it's in the description. If you're not, go to studiolivetoday.com. That'll tell you how you can get involved. And without any further ado, or as I used to say, adieu. A Jew and a do are different words. I learnt that. I wasn't. It was a few years ago. And I said, without further ado, on a video, and someone said, it's a do, you idiot. Actually, no, they were nicer than that. But they said, oh, by the way, when you say that, it kind of triggers me because it's not adieu. That means to bid you adieu. Further ado means further talking or doing. Anyway, that's all just much ado about nothing. Or adieu. Number 10, they're both awesome. You knew it would be something just random and weird at the end here. But yeah, they're both cool. And I say that both to have a bit of a laugh, but also to say that like what you like. Too many people, I think, worry about what other people think about. For instance, another thing that I like to do is play the game on my phone called Pokemon Go. Yes, I know. It's 2016 again, apparently. No, I've been playing it for like 8 years. And why do I like to play Pokemon Go? Because I like to do something while I'm walking around. I walk around a lot, and why not catch little pretend pocket monsters and spin gyms and Pokestops? Hit me up. If you're a Pokemon Go player, seriously, email me, pete@studiolivetoday.com. I'll friend you. But I say that to say there's probably something that you really dig, that you really like, and we often call them guilty pleasures. but they don't have to be guilty. Why are we guilty? What's guilty got to do with it? There's nothing bad. I don't even spend any money. I'm what we call a free-to-play player. I don't spend any money on it. It's just something fun that I like to do. And I love hockey. And if you love curling or hurling or any sort of sport that maybe might not be the most popular one, darts is massive in the UK. I couldn't think of anything worse than watching someone throw darts at a dartboard. But if you love it, knock yourself out. Go watch as much darts and play darts and live and talk about the weight and how many grams your favourite darts are and who your favourite dart players are. Knock yourselves out. So yeah, like what you like, but yeah, there's awesome things out there in the world. There's things that are fun. There's things that are interesting. You don't need to hide it. Dungeons and Dragons. For years, nerds playing Dungeons and Dragons was the classic. Oh my god, I can't believe you're such a nerd. You play D&D. I mean, these days not so much because nerds are cool and nerd culture is cool now. Comic books. How much did we talk down to comic book fans? Oh, you're such a nerd. You're buying comic books. Now it's massive. Slightly different. But I'm sure there's something. I bet there's something that you do, that you love, that you maybe didn't want to admit to. Yeah, just don't worry about it. Just do what you love. And if you love music and if you love recording music, then you're going to love what we have at Studio Live Today. Head to studiolivetoday.com. If you would like to subscribe to the audio version, studiolivetoday.com/podcast will take you straight there. You can add it to your favourite podcatcher of choice and do all the good things. Thank you for being here for this one. What do you reckon? Let me know your thoughts on this one. Do you like these sort of weird and wacky ones, or should we get a bit more practical and give you the knowledge? Because books. Well, who was that guy? You know, the guy that was like, knowledge. Someone's nodding. All right, thanks everyone. As we say at the end of each and every show around here, please be kind to yourself, be kind to others, keep creating, and I'll see you next time right here on the Studio Live Today podcast.